German, and this is a special podcast for We Are Here. I'm Lady German, and I said that once, and I'll say it twice. With me is Amanda and Amir. Present yourselves, say your pronouns, and who you are.
My name is Amanda Shea. I am an artist, educator, curator, radio show host, and mentor, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Yes, so my name is Amir Dixon. I am the creative director of A&I. We're a visual design firm for social impact. You can learn more about me. My pronouns are he and his.
And my pronouns are they, them, their, her, she,
Bad
anything,
bitch.
honey.
Bad bitch.
That hoe, shit. And being a bad bitch, shit, you gotta take care of your what? So, And listen, talking about taking care of yourself, I wanna, this is gonna be a welcoming table. Let's set the mood, because this is gonna be a space where we can talk about things. We can, be there for each other. Bitch, this is gonna be the place where we come as a family and talk about the issues. And one of the biggest issues that we face in our community is mental health. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Mental health is something, and I'll talk from my perspective, where my mental health comes from, right? So me as a drag performer and a drag artist, mental health has been a big part of my life, especially being, a Latino queer person. Growing up in a house where, you saw your mother doing drugs, getting beat up, I kind of picked up on certain habits and PTSD and things like that, where it kind of like messed with me. In other words, fucked with me. It fucked with me. And as I started raising myself, I started realizing that I wasn't okay, And, I want to talk a little bit about mental health, because I think that sometimes we feel it's taboo to talk about it, because people try to make you seem like you might be a crazy person if you're dealing with mental health issues.
I think that's a really bad stigma. When people hear mental health, they automatically assume, oh my gosh, you are diagnosed with something. And unfortunately, that's not everybody's case. You could be walking around having issues with mental health, and it's not relatable to what we call schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, things of that nature. It could be depression, anxiety, PTSD, which goes undiagnosed all the time. People don't even realize how detrimental PTSD is. You can have PTSD from anything. Social media, watching George Floyd's death for me gave me PTSD. Being pulled over by a police officer, PTSD. Being in a car accident, you can have PTSD. Some people create this fear of driving, especially after a really horrific car accident. So I think we should be gentle when we talk about mental health, because it's our overall health.
Yeah.
If our mental is not in shape, then our bodies aren't gonna follow suit. And it's just important to talk about and not be so taboo about it, or stigmatize people who are very upfront about their
even people who are very vocal about political things, or their rights, and when they get challenged, for example, let's say if you are someone who is very expressive and are about all your rights and about POC justice and everything, I've noticed that there's a thing where people would categorize you as oh, that girl is crazy, she probably is having some mental health issues.
And judging, when we were talking earlier about this topic specifically, I was just thinking to myself about my own story as it surrounds mental health. So for 3 years, I was dealing with chronic depression, where I couldn't get out the bed. I didn't feel anything. People would come to me, talk to me, have issues, and I just couldn't feel it. And for me, it was I'm feeling sad today. And people were just girl, get up. Girl, get to work. Girl, ain't nobody got time to hear about whatever issue you got going on.
Yeah.
Right? And
That's dismissive.
And just to be in a space to deal with that by myself, where never feeling like I had people to go to, have people to engage with and talk to that about, because you know, when you are the artist, when you are the business owner, when you are the performer, right? No one cares. It's
the show must go on.
Exactly. You're strong. You got to get out there. You got to do it. And for me, it's like I want to apologize to myself for that because I never allowed myself to have space for that. And it's like I know that many of us are dealing with the same thing, right? Where it's like, okay, the rent is due on the 1st, the bills are due, the bills are coming, your mom, your aunt, your cousin, your brother, your sister calls you, they need something and you gotta show up for them. And it's like, for me, and like many people in our community, substances became the thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and through therapy, I've been able to just like give language to it, give words to it.
Now, why is that? And I noticed that this is something that happens a lot in our community. Why is it that us, as the performers, and most of the performers in our community are POC, why is it that we are hard on ourselves when we're like dealing with our own mental health problems, when we're dealing with anxiety and depression? We're like so hard on ourselves that we're like, you can't go out in public because you don't want to, you know, have a breakdown, or like you can't show emotion. And then it's like you can see everybody else cry and everybody else vent in public, but then you feel like you have to like put everything in a box, hold it in, and you're expected not to cry, and you're expected not to feel, and you're expected to be happy because that's what you showcase, right?
But isn't that like ingrained in our culture? Like that stems from our environments, and like that starts from our family. You know, I think for me, our Black household was like under the rug for everything. We didn't talk about mental health. We didn't talk about a lot of things that went on. And that's just our culture, is like we just push everything under the rug. We have to be resilient no matter what. It's already hard enough being Black. We don't have time to have mental health issues because we have to keep persevering.